Here are the top 10 things that couples forget on their wedding days and that leave them feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, and emotionally drained at the end of it. Being a wedding photographer, I have seen a lot of weddings go wrong. So I'm here to share the ins and outs. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not the big things that people will tell you it is. It's the little tiny details, the forgotten things that are going to cause a greater impact on your wedding day. So if you're planning a wedding and don't want to forget anything, save this video. Starting with number 10, the first dance. You don't need to be a professional dancer, but not practicing can actually have an impact on how awkward it is for you and your guests to watch. You don't have to do anything crazy, but just kind of swaying back and forth. We did that in middle school and we can grow up a little bit now. There are thousands of YouTube videos and tutorials, online dance classes that you can take and practice with your fiancé so that you can elevate your wedding dance and make it just a little bit more special. Number 9, this one especially for my brides, is comfy shoes. Your wedding shoes are going to feel cute and great for about 30 minutes. And then after that, it's off. Your feet are going to hurt so bad. I always recommend that brides have an extra pair of tennis shoes or just like the cute chunky like Nike white shoes, like whatever you need to do so that you can keep your feet comfortable and safe. So if I was walking around in dainty little white high heels all day, first, my feet would kill. Second, my feet would be freezing. And that's all that my brain could focus on. So having a comfy pair of shoes is going to save your feet and your mood on your wedding day. Number 8 is an emergency kit. Safety pins, stain remover, bobby pins, hair clips, hairspray, Band-Aid, Tylenol, Advil, deodorant. Having these little things just on hand in a bag that you can grab at any time can literally make or break your wedding day, especially if you are a bride that gets headaches easily. Weddings cause a lot of stress, and stress can cause headaches. Just in case you forgot to eat or you're not drinking enough water, having just some Tylenol on hand instead of sending somebody to the store, like you can do that, but it's nice to just know you have it on hand and can take it when you need it. Number 7 is your transportation plan. A lot of brides and grooms forget this one, is how they're getting to the ceremony, to their own wedding, and not so much how they're leaving together, but who is going to be in charge of driving whose car. If the bride and groom drive separately to get ready to the venue or to the ceremony, wherever you're getting married, then there's going to be an extra car there that somebody has to take care of. So making sure that you know who's riding with who's getting a ride, if they're driving themselves. These are things that you have to think about on your wedding day, the logistics of getting to and from where you're going. Number 6 is vendor meals and payments. A lot of vendors, especially photographers, videographers, wedding planners, coordinators, the people that are going to be with you throughout the entirety of the day are going to have to eat as well. And if it's not previously discussed in contracts or just communication, if your vendors can eat or not, they're going to have to leave at some point to get food. You can't starve your vendors. You can, but they might leave. Make sure that you take care of your vendors. They'll take care of you in return. And just make sure that you have a space for them to eat. Really draining sometimes as a wedding photographer to have to, this is going to sound silly, but like to have to eat in the same space as the guests where I'm already associating with them. I've already been with them all day. Like I need a second to catch my breath, and spending time with your guests again while I'm trying to eat and refocus is actually a little bit more draining than if I were to have my own little space, maybe just back in the kitchen, back in the preparation area where I could have a meal. I've definitely snuck away from a wedding luncheon to go eat in private and then come back when I was done. Think about your vendors and the meals, and then also payments. You're communicating clearly with your vendors, and make sure that your payments are paid up until the wedding day. It is kind of like a drag when you get 3 days after the wedding and you have your photography bill show up and it's like, oh, you owe $2,000 after you've already, like, you kind of already have done the thing, keeping track of payments, and you're paying your vendors on time so you don't get slapped with a bill days after the wedding. If you forget to pay your photographer or videographer, you're not going to get your pictures or videos back. So I'll tell you that. Make sure you pay them so that you can get what you paid for in return. Number 5 is not building a buffer into your wedding day timeline. Brides plan out their wedding timeline. They're usually like, okay, we're going to go from here to here to here to here. And they forget that we are human and things happen. And it's important to recognize that so that you can plan a smooth transition time for transportation. If you have to move from the ceremony to the cocktail hour or reception space, you need to plan in time, like 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes even 30 minutes. And just in case pictures run longer, or if you need more time for pictures or something, need time to breathe, just build that into your buffer. Build in like a 30-minute time buffer somewhere into your timeline so that you can take from that time as needed. Number 4, this one is insanely important, especially if you don't have a venue that does setup and cleanup for you. You need to have somebody coordinated, assigned, scheduled to set up and clean up after the wedding. I have been to so many weddings where the bride and groom will leave, they'll exit the wedding, and then the family is left to clean up everything. And they're like, well, what do we do with the gifts? Where do we put them? Make sure that you have somebody assigned. You can even hire like a setup cleanup crew. I'm sure there's somebody on Facebook that would be willing to do that for just however much, $50. I don't know. If you want to pay for that or if you want to have family do it, just make sure that you coordinate who is in charge of setting up and who is in charge of taking down so that you don't have to be coordinating that as you're driving away from your wedding. That is like the silliest thing. You're on your honeymoon at that point. Like, everything else is out the window. Your focus should be you and your new spouse. Number 3 is your marriage license. This is like very important. Otherwise, your marriage is not legal. Make sure that you have that so that the officiant can sign it and you can sign it, your spouse can sign it, and the witnesses, whoever needs to sign it so that it's a legal and binding document and you're actually married. Number 2 is wedding rings and vows. A lot of couples will take off their wedding rings because they do the vow or they do the ring exchange at the altar or at the ceremony. Make sure that you know where the rings are at all times and that you have somebody in charge of those. As a bride, you're not going to be thinking about that. You're just going to have so much running through your mind at that point. Is sometimes something that slips through the cracks. You have somebody in charge of the rings, and also if you have your vows written down, make sure that you have your vows with you, or have a bridesmaid walk them down the aisle so that they can hand them off to you when it's your turn to say your vows. Number 1, the biggest thing that brides and grooms, mostly brides, forget to do is to eat and stay hydrated on your wedding morning. For brides, they typically have to wake up early for their hair appointments, their makeup, and eating just goes out the window. So it's great if you can plan to have like a breakfast setup or spread the night before, and your maid of honor can be in charge of making sure that you are brought food if you're unable to leave your chair. And make sure that you're staying hydrated. If you can get some liquid IVs so that you can pour them in your water, and just have bottles of water next to you constantly throughout the day and the preparation so that you don't get starving and you're not dehydrated, because any little thing that affects your physical well-being on the day of your wedding, like the cold feet, the uncomfy shoes, is going to affect your mood and your overall experience. So making sure that you are fed and you are happy and you're hydrated is going to make a huge difference on your wedding day. If you want a wedding day that actually feels good, not rushed, not stressful, not overwhelming, remember to focus on you and your fiance's vision goals for your wedding. I'll see you next week.